Some people prefer to perform their live sets in arrangement view. It really just depends on what you're trying to do. There are always at least 3 or 4 ways, it seems like, to do anything inside of Ableton Live. When it comes to live performance, there are a few benefits and disadvantages of using arrangement view compared to session view. For example, one benefit of using arrangement view versus session view is you have pretty easy gradual tempo automation. So for example, on my master track, if I open up my automation lane, I can create gradual tempo changes between songs. So if I wanted to do so, you can see I can just slowly have it fade between one song and another. Session view, it's not so much. When you just launch the next scene, it's going to snap into whatever BPM you have set, as we looked at in previous videos. There are, however, Max for Live devices and other tools that you can use to have gradual tempo changes between scenes if that's what you want to do. One disadvantage of using arrangement view is I have all these locators where I can jump around in the timeline and tell Ableton to play at any certain specific point. However, I cannot allow arrangement view to continue to loop without using my mouse and dragging the loop bracket, for example, as a transition between one song and another to have it continue to loop over and over. This is one reason it's great to use scenes in session view, because you can have the clips themselves do the looping and have that transition happen from one scene to another. Locators are not only a good way to outline a song for different parts such as the verse, chorus, but it's also really great to be able to set cue points in arrangement view of where you want to launch at a specific point in the song. And you can also key map or Midi map locators to be able to do this. So if you want to create a new locator, you can just right click up here at the top and choose add locator and then rename it whatever you wanted to. And once I have some locators established and mapping out the song into different parts, what I could do is I can use key mapping like we looked at in earlier videos, and I can choose key mapping. I can assign, say, this chorus 1 to the number 4. I can assign the verse to, say, the number 3, and maybe I'll have the intro being number 2, and then I can jump around while I am performing in arrangement view across the grid, and now whenever I hit that key, it's going to snap into that locator that has been mapped. So let's check it out. So if I'm playing verse 1, I'll jump around between these different locators. And that way, if you're with a band, then you can kind of jump around into different sections of the song that you need to. Another thing you should know is the global quantization menu up here. So basically this determines how much time occurs between when you hit, say, one of these locators that is key mapped to the time that that actually triggers that part of the song to be played. This is also true over in session view. So if I had some clips, the global quantization basically is just how much time it takes before that scene or that clip or that locator is triggered once you trigger it. So for example, if I have 4 bars set, now if I start playing here and I trigger one of these different locators, then you're going to see it wait 4 bars before it actually starts to play there, which is nice because Ableton always plays on time with itself, so everything is locked into tempo. You can also MIDI map any one of these locators, which we'll talk more about MIDI mapping in another video. But if I wanted to do that, I would just go to the MIDI tab here, or Command M as the shortcut, and I could select one of these locators and use a MIDI controller like this launchpad, and I can just select any button and it will map that locator to that button that I just selected. And you'll want to set up your MIDI preferences in the Live Preferences area and just go to the Link MIDI tab and select the control surface, and we can see right now I have this launchpad selected right there, and I would just want to make sure that remote is on for the input of that launchpad for me to be able to do what I just did in mapping that locator. So these are just a couple different ways that you can perform an entire set in arrangement view using locators, using key and MIDI mapping. You can also go into the individual tracks and draw automation changes for those tracks. Also, it's really kind of nice to be able to see an entire timeline view of the beginning to the end of your live set. I have 3 songs in here that are available for you to practice with that I produced under my artist name Philia. But one thing I can do after I basically create the entire set list and arrangement view is I can go through and I can highlight certain sections of the song. For example, I can highlight this amount of the grid between these locators that I have laid out, and then I can choose Consolidate Time to New Scene as we looked at earlier, and it will basically take exactly what is being played in that amount of time. It'll create a brand new scene over here in session view and play it exactly as it is. And I can continue to do that between locators or between songs as I choose. Once again, using arrangement view can be helpful for basically just seeing an overview of the entire set from start to finish. And feel free to use this as kind of a template and a guide for creating your own workflow